The real economic factors that you need to look at are something that I'll discuss today. I'm not talking about the fake numbers that the government and the media are putting out. I am talking about the real figures, what matters most. What does your money buy? So let's take a look today at home buyers with another shot at low rates still don't buy. And this article here is talking about how individuals, even though the interest rates did temporarily drop for a few months, they were still not buying. Now, why is that? That's because they are absolutely tapped out on how much they can afford, and what do? They have to use that money to pay off their debt, and that's at least what they should be doing. The fact remains is that they aren't buying new homes. There was an unbelievable glut of home building that occurred up until the crash, and this really extended beyond, way beyond anything of any sort of realism, and here we are today. So this goes into a few things. I'll get into only a few details from it, but essentially what it's getting into here is that the Fed has to make up the shortfall. This is a big thing that I talked about in my book, how who's going to buy these mortgage-backed securities, especially after they were really into the mainstream media at that point, saying, look, you got AAA rated garbage that nobody in their right mind would want, and here they are, the Fed is stepping in to buy up all of this garbage. That's what's happening, and now even the mainstream media is talking about it. Here is Bloomberg. So they're talking about the Fed funds rate, and it is currently what I like to say 0%, but they're saying have no fear because that is not zero, it's 0.08, and they're going to expect it to go higher, as I'll get into just shortly here. But they have a target from up to 0.25, and how exactly do they get this rate? How is it determined? The long and short of it is that they print money. Well, you can call it whatever you want to, but for the general layman's term here, what they're doing is printing money in open market operations. I've got into this in other videos. These open market operations, they go into the market, they buy up these mortgage-backed securities, bonds, and all these other paper assets, and they are allowed to keep the interest rates down. So the interest rates aren't determined by the free market, they're determined by a value of the printing press. Let's go on quickly. The Fed's, this is San Francisco Federal Reserve Bank President John Williams, said that he sees a rate of 2 to 2.5 in the Fed funds. So they're going to go from 0, which they've been at ever since the crash happened. They're going to miraculously make their way above 2%. And this is not going to cause a slowdown in the economy. Look at what happened with the GDP numbers, even how fraudulent they are. These GDP numbers are reporting negative now. And look at what's happening with the unemployment. Look at the food stamps. Look at all of those real economic factors. And yet you have the Fed now saying that they're going to get a 2.5% Fed funds rate, which has been at the bottom, at a 0%. It has never been this low for this long, and they're going to somehow dramatically reverse course. How in the world are they going to do this? They're even pulling back with the whole Fed tapering. They can't do this. This is such a joke. And why is it that they're able to get this message to the mainstream media? The mainstream economists often talk about how things are getting better. I've heard this same story played over and over. This is a broken record here that's been going on. Take a look at this. This is pretty obvious. You know it. If you're one of the insiders, especially here, the Money GPS insiders, you know about this. The 6 media conglomerates that own it all. And right here, General Electric, News Corp, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, and CBS, they own them all. All of this media that the mainstream watches, which is what most people are watching, although the alternative news is growing, the mainstream owns it all. So you have one message pushed down to these 6 corporations. Those 6 push it down to the sub-corporations within that, and you have your agenda pushed throughout there. That's the way this works. It isn't real information. It isn't real investigative journalism that exists. You only have a talking point, and it gets pushed out, and the mainstream media will continue to repeat that out to the population. The population will spread that amongst themselves, and that's the way this works. You will never get real information from the mainstream. You need to avoid it and realize and understand that the real economic factors are hurting. It isn't just the US, it's all over the world. Keep an eye on the real factors and you will know the information. Of course, if you want to know more of this detailed information like this, you need to be an insider. That is at themoneygps.com at the bottom. Fill in your email address and you get the latest and greatest detailed information, and that is once again at themoneygps.com at the bottom. Please join the others on there, growing subscribership on there, and I'm happy to receive your emails through the insiders. I'd like to talk to those people on there. Definitely. Talk to you soon.